If you like to cook, you probably appreciate sharp knives. There are a lot of ways to accomplish this goal, but dare I say few methods are as easy and as satisfactory as what I'm about to show you. I've had the Tormek T-1 knife sharpener for about a year now. It's a beautiful machine. It works really well. And in this video I want to show how it works. How quickly can you sharpen a knife? How easily can you mess it up? So let's give it a workout. I have a bunch of knives to sharpen. Also, what has it been like using this for a year now? Hej allihopa! Idag ska vi slipa köksknivar. Okay, most frequently used knife I'd say is probably a chef's knife, hybrid knife, this one's nice too, a little paring knife. I have a fair amount of tools. This is one of my favorite tools in the kitchen, however. And there is one major reason for that, and that is how simple this is to use. So first of all, what do we have here? A powder-coated body cast in zinc with a white oak handle. Wait a minute, it's been a year. Let's give the handle a refresher. This is our wax polish. Okay, all good. Now the grinding wheel is made with fine-grained diamonds. It's quite smooth to the touch, and you can see how the wheel has this angle already. And then you set the sharpening angle further right here. It's very precise, and you can choose between 10 to 20 degrees. The degrees measure is for each side of the knife, so in total the knife angle will be between 20 and 40 degrees. We have a composite honing wheel, which has an integrated polishing agent, so you don't need to add additional compound, so it's clean to use. One less thing to think about. Getting a unit like this replaces the need to ever send out your knives for sharpening, because you can do it all yourself. So the first thing we need to do is to plug it in. This unit has a pretty long cord. Now we come to the tricky part. We hit the button. And that is touching. Okay, but what kind of knife can you sharpen on this unit? How big? How small? Well, Tormek claims it can sharpen blades from 12 to 60 millimeters. That's pretty much the knives I have here, from a small paring knife to a big chef's knife. You can go a little smaller or a little bigger, but that's pretty much the range. In terms of thickness though, you can go much thicker if you need, up to 5 millimeters thick. That is a chunk. Unlikely your knives are that thick, but you know, good to know. In terms of length, there's no limit. I always have the best of intentions to keep on top of knife sharpening, and sometimes I am. However, sometimes I don't do it for a while, it just kind of builds up, and then I realize, oh wow, I need to sharpen a whole bunch of knives. Now all of these knives need to be sharpened on two sides. They're all rather dull, like to the point where you're cutting vegetables and you think to yourself, this really needs to be sharpened. For all of these, I'm going to go with 17 degrees because it's an angle that I have been using. Now the thing is, you may mostly cut using your knife right there, if you're like me, but you want to make sure you sharpen the whole knife. So, how long is it going to take? They're all rather dull. Let's put a timer on. Knife number 1, turn on the machine. Ready, set, go! So when I'm dealing with very dull knives, I like to do this 6 times. So go through the unit 6 times. So that's 6 times per side. Now I've seen lots of people take the knife through like 3 times, and I think that's fine when the knife is not terribly dull. And our line is gone. Let's turn it around. But when it is very dull, or it's the first time that you are sharpening it using this machine, so you're really setting that angle, then I like doing it a few more times. Because once you've set that angle and you keep that angle, it's easier to maintain the edge. Of course, it is helpful to have drawn a line with a permanent marker just to make sure you're actually cutting on the edge and not somewhere else, which, you know, happens. Because it is really hard to see exactly where you're cutting if you don't have that mark. Knife number 2. I suppose one thing about this unit is that it sharpens the entire bevel of the knife and not just the outer edge, which can sometimes be the case with other sharpeners. This means the edge is going to hold longer. And ideally, in the perfect world, you keep a sharpener out on your counter and you get in the habit of always either doing a bit of stropping on the honing wheel or, you know, sharpening as well. And if you do that, you will always have super sharp knives. Knife number 3. I always have the intention to be on top of things like that. And sometimes I am, although, you know, sometimes I'm not. So here you can see steel coming off right there. But then I get the fun of having a sharpening session and doing a whole bunch of them, which is actually something I rather enjoy. Knife number 4. It is nice to take care of your things, and of course it is also nice to chop your food with very sharp knives. All the knives have been sharpened. Now we need to hone them. So you can feel a lot of burr like that. So what does the honing do? A couple of things. When you sharpen the knife, you remove material and create a new edge. But this process leaves tiny inconsistencies and burrs, which are tiny rough edges. So the honing wheels realigns and straightens the edges. Nice and smooth, except for right there. Honing also polishes the edge of the knife to increase the sharpness and further refines the edge to make it even sharper. If you want to check if you actually removed the burr, I like to touch the edge of the knife right on the edge of my nail, and you feel any inconsistency really well that way. So if it's smooth, then you got it. So if you do honing in between sharpening sessions, then it basically helps maintain the edge of the knife and extends the sharpness by keeping the edge. So since I've used this machine for about a year now, I wanted to give a bit of an evaluation, what it's been like. One knife I've never sharpened on this, but I'm kind of curious, is this guy. This is my favorite little pocket knife that I always carry with me. It's like a picnic knife. It's an Opinel. I haven't sharpened it in a long time and never on this machine. The blade is very thin. A year is a good amount of time to get a feel for a unit, what you like, what you don't like. And I almost wish I had something more like negative to say, because it's a very solid machine and it's so simple. It works so well. I mean, there's not a lot to be confused about. Opinel knife definitely worked. Different feel, cutting or sharpening such a thin blade. It's a very thin blade. But yeah, much improved. You see all that fuzz there? Magnet, you see this? So this is actually metal shavings that's coming off all of the knives. It's what's collecting here onto the magnet. Looks like dust on your finger. I mean, there's not a lot to be confused about. All of the little parts, the little, like how they have designed, like how the angle is set, how there's this magnet here, how you put the knife in there. Everything is designed in such a way that it just works really well. So, I got my most frequently used knife sharpened. Picnic knife worked really well, so we tried a super thin blade. So I'm just sitting here editing the video up to this point, and it struck me that in the beginning I asked 2 questions. Question number 1, how quickly can you sharpen a knife? And question number 2, how easily can you mess it up? So, question number 1, how fast is it? It takes a couple of seconds to sharpen a knife. But when it comes down to it, I would give about 2 minutes per knife if you want to take your time, you want to do both sides of the knife, and you want to do the honing process. So that's a safe bet, I think. And then question number 2, how easily can you mess it up? Well, the thing is, as long as you have set the angle correctly, and I suppose as long as you put the knife in the slot. I've actually done this a few times. When I've been tired, I haven't looked at the machine for a while, I've accidentally put it towards the inside of the slot, like right below the magnet, which is not the correct place to do it. So as long as you realize that you want to put it inside the slot, and you have the right angle, and then you want to, you get a feel for how to move the knife and hold it, kind of, go along with the knife. I mean, I don't think you can really mess it up. And of course, the honing is something to get used to a little bit too, because it is freehand, but it's not difficult. So I was also thinking, okay, who is this for? I mean, it's not for the woodworker necessarily, like the T-8. This is really for the cook, or the person who is very particular about their knives, very particular about their things, wants things in the right way and wants it to be easy to do so. Obviously, it's a nice machine, and it is of really good quality. So anyway, if you're watching this video, let me know how you sharpen your kitchen knives. Do you sharpen them at all? Do you send them out? Do you have something like this? Do you use Japanese water stones? What do you use? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll see you soon. Bye.